Haribol, Ras Ras Prabhu.
Dandavas Maharaj.
Dandawat.
Dhanavad Prabhu.
Krishna Kesha Prabhu. Dandavas.
Dhanavad Shanta Maharaj.
There, because his logo was there.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Oh, you are there?
Yes, Maharaj. Dandavat.
Dandawat. I see your logo is talking to me.
I am, trying to make it live stream, Maharaj.
Oh,
I will make the video on soon, Maharaj.
yes. I'd rather see you.
How are you feeling, Maharaj?
I'm okay.
Your date is fixed, Maharaj, for the operation?
Tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Monday.
Monday.
Professor Kharal was saying that one day you can also present in their meet.
I can present, but I don't think we speak the same language. I am speaking a foreign language to them. At Muni Maharaj. Dandavats.
Dandavas Maharaj.
Muni Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dhanavad Mani Maharaj.
Dandavats.
A half a face. You're only half a moon.
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. So how did your talk go today in Nepal?
There was Sant Maharaj, I think.
Santa Mars?
It went well, Maharaj. I mean, there were, quite a few people, 60, 70 people were there, and many could not join. They say that 200 were waiting. And Muni Maharaj also told that, he could not join because of some problem with the Zoom. So, and we had a question and answer session also for some time.
Are you going to have a recording of it?
We already recorded. Actually, there was some problem with the live stream, but I have posted the recording one.
Yeah. Where will it be posted? YouTube?
YouTube, yes. YouTube, also Facebook, Maharaj.
Okay. Muni Maharaj, you didn't talk.
It is next week.
Next week.
Yes, Maharaj.
Where, in Nepal?
Same, yes. Every Saturday they are having.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mukund.
We have not received some photos from garden for quite some time from you.
What's that?
Some photos from the garden.
Oh, you have to ask Krishna Kesha for that.
Yes, Maharaj.
So do you think totality and organic unity are the same thing? Muni Maharaj?
Organic unity is the concept, but totality can have many meanings, depending upon what you mean by that.
You mentioned totality in one of your posts.
Yeah, the previous one, Maharaj. That means all the determinations and so that is not there in the, what we say, when we say something as, let's say, point mass or something, like in modern science. we speak about point masses, but in reality, we don't find point mass. We find individual rocks, matters. So there's a difference in that abstraction and the complete concrete conceptions. That's what I meant.
When you take a total, it's the sum. No? The
Yeah.
sum of everything is called a total.
Yes.
It's adding up everything. But that's not the unity, the organic unity.
No, that's not.
We have to be careful, I think, and necessary to distinguish totality, organic unity.
So I'll write one post on that, Maharaj. Then. There are so many things actually that when I start writing, I can't, gather myself up. Then whatever comes out from that, I present something. I try like that.
Okay.
So I don't even know how the next mail will be looking like. But according to situation, when I think about it, something is coming out, and that's what I try to give a small message every time. Like next time, I'm thinking I found some passages from the Upanishads where some sages are asking the question, "What is this Atma, Atman?" And some sages are meditating on the air, some are meditating on the fire. So they have difference of opinion. Then they go to another sage, and that sage takes them to another sage, who is actually a king. And then the king says that it's very great thing that all of you are doing, but is Atman something external that you are meditating on something outside for what Atma should be? So I'm finding very interesting thing there, and there is something called Vaishwanara, uh, Vaishwanara Tattva. Vaishwa means the world, and Nara means person. So Vaishwanara means the universal being. So who is the universal being of this, whole creation or whatever? That is the question there. And finally, they come to the conclusion of one and many. That is, they say that one thing is this Vishwaroop, that is imaginary form of the absolute. But beyond that is a transcendental form, and then they come to the conception of one and many there. So I'm finding it is very similar to the philosophy discussed by Hegel also, where he talks about being. Then universal being is something not subjective, but a what to say, conceptual being. And so these are, I think, quite interesting if we can present parallel these two ideas.
Do you know the Chaturshloki of the Bhagavatam?
Chatushloki, yeah, many times you mentioned that, Maharaj.
There are Chaturshloki. One of them says, Rite Ritam Yat Pratiyata Yat Pratiyate Chatmani. You know that one?
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh,
I remember.
the discussion of those four Chaturshlokas is very interesting. If you like to look it up.
Okay, Maharaj.
All Siddhanta is given there. The ultimate conclusion. Also found in the Bhagavad Gita Chaturshlokas.
Yes, Maharaj.
And if you can present the summary that's given in those two Chaturshloki, that very nicely presents whole Vaishnava Siddhanta.
Try, Maharaj.
You can
Thank you very
compare
much.
the two even.
Yes, Maharaj.
Interesting that they have four. Huh?
Mhm.
They were mentioning the Chaturpad of the Gayatri.
Yes, Maharaj.
Huh?
Yes.
Why is this four given?
That is given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.
Yeah, but why? Four.
I'm just thinking maybe they conceived the reality like a cow or an animal or something which has four bases.
Chaturvyuha.
Okay.
Oh, why four?
If we think like that, then this externality or objects in the world, that is one leg. Then the knowledge of it, that is in the Vedas, is another leg of it. Then who is trying to understand that? That is another leg. And the vital forces is another leg. So, mm, so it seems reality is coming out in these four forms. Then, and the Chaturvya represent ego, consciousness, intelligence, and senses. So, I think vital layers are connected with the mind, the senses. Then the objects are concerned with the
Trace, Haribol?
How is everybody? Good?
Yes?
Good to see you all.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, and this material is on 1/4 of the whole creation, right? What do they
Yes,
call
Maharaj.
it? Rebooting? Something, I can't remember the word.
Yeah, Ekpad Vibhuti.
Ecapod.
Yes.
1/4, right?
Yeah.
Somehow it means one. Ekpod means one.
One, yes, yes.
But how does it become 1/4 of the total? One
The
fourth of
three
what?
path, the three path is the actual world.
Three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, four has some special significance.
Well, Maharaj, with Turiya, as Muni Maharaj was saying,
Yeah, also, yeah.
because
Puri is
Turiya means
fourth.
fourth, and it's also the first stage of transcendental consciousness, so perhaps that number 4 signifies reaching spiritual plane. So,
Turiya means fourth,
So-
Maharaj.
Yes.
So that Turiya they are talking in terms of fourth, I think four. Sattva, Rajas, Tama, and Visuddha Sattva.
But I'm talking about Chatur Vyuha. There's nothing material there.
Generally, Maharaj, Vishnu has also four hands.
All right.
We don't know, Maharaj.
Well, that's another thing. But Brahma may have many heads, only in this universe. That's not significant. But other things are more fundamental. Chaturvyuha, the Chatur Shloki.
Isn't Bhagavatam only Bhagavatam as we know it in this universe?
Huh?
So perhaps in a five-headed Brahma universe, perhaps it's Pancha Shloki. Perhaps.
Actually, Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions these three. That is the four we are mentioning, but actually it is three of this. Bhur, Bhuva, and Swa is actually seven, because there are more finer layers of material world. Like Bhur is the um, earth is solid. Bhuva is another, I think, mind or intelligence. Yeah, one is mind, one is intelligence. Then there are final layers also, up to Janalok, Satyalok, Tapalok. Those are final layers. And beyond that, there is transcendence.
Oh, that's another thing. But it seems that the four becomes prominent as soon as we speak about the manifestation beyond Vrindavan. Balaram, Baladev, he expands as Narayan and Vasudev, and then Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshan. So as soon as we leave Vrindavan, then the four becomes uh, significant. In the Vrindavan, there's three. Huh?
Sambit Sandini Haladini.
Uh,
Maharaj, today one devotee, Mukund, he joined from Madhya Pradesh, and he's reading book of Sripad Maharaj, Tattva Jigyasa. So he contacted me. Somehow
Okay.
searching Guru Maharaj information. Then he joined our meeting today, June, and he also joined now.
Okay.
December.
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Maharaj ji.
Shai
Dandavat
Dandavad.
Pranam.
Dandavad Prabhu.
Dandavat pranams Maharaj, dandavat.
Shai Haribol
Hare
Karam.
Krishna.
Hare
Dandavad.
Krishna.
Dandavad Teres. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Chapter
Dandavad Rasraj Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Buha would be Vaikuntha,
Yes.
because also Turiya, I know, besides
Yes.
the first step outside of
Yes,
material,
that's right. Good.
yeah. But that's
Then you have Turiyata, which is the fifth
right.
mentioned.
Perhaps
And
that's,
which is, yes. Who is that? So, who would like to lead the Sangha today? Anvat Somadevi. Or my reading ability is still restricted.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna
Dandavat
Dandavat. Muni Maharaj.
Oh, Maharaj. Shantavaraj is good Maharaj in this.
I
I'm not.
am
Why?
very tired also, Maharaj, today.
Why are you not good?
I was never good in this Maharaj.
Muni Maharaj, you're always singing so nicely. You're lying to us.
Hey,
Actually, Muni Maharaj is taking one seed that is making him very weak. That is Joar. And I also took it, few times, and the experience made me very weak actually.
What is it? A seed?
It's known as Joar. I don't know what they call it in English,
Sorghum.
Oh, sorghum. Sorghum. Oh,
but it's good for health, seems to me, but makes you tired actually.
I see.
But next time I come to America, Maharaj, I will bring some powder of jambawarin tree for you. It's good for diabetes.
What
It
is it?
also it is the blackberry of India.
Okay.
It has a seed, and that powder of that seed is good for diabetes.
I see.
There are some experiments where it says that it regenerates the beta cells also. So I will try to bring next time when I come there.
What is that fruit called?
It's called blackberry in English. In India, we
A
call
blackberry,
jambu.
yeah. Jambu.
Jamun in India. Jammu, yeah.
Jamuna.
It's Ayurvedic, traditional system
All right.
that they use.
All right. Rasaraj, you're the only strong one left.
Oh well. Sorry. I didn't take those seats.
You're not taking blackberry, are you?
Baba here.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur
Oh,
Bhakti
Bhakta.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jaya
Shri
Shri Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadara
Gadadhar
Srivasadi
Srivasadi Gaura
Gaura
Bhakta.
Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jai
Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadara
Gadadhar
Srivasadi
Srivasadi
Gaura
Gaur
Bhakta
Bhakta
Vrinda.
Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jai
Shri Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadara
Gadadhar
Srivasadi
Srivasadi
Gaura
Gaur
Bhakta
Bhakta
Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama, Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama, Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari
Hare
Bol, Hari
Bol,
Bol, Hari
Hare
Bol, Nitai
Bol,
Gaura Hari
Hare
Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai
Hare
Gaura Hari Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hare
Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hare
Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol,
Hare
Hari Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hare
Bol, Nitai Gaura
Bol,
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Bol.
Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev.
Jaya Jaya
Jaya
Gurudev, Gurudev,
Gurudev,
Jaya
Gurudev,
Gurudev.
Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev.
Jaya Jaya
Jaya
Gurudev, Gurudev,
Gurudev,
Gurudev,
Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari 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 Bol.
Very
Jai
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev ki Jai.
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 Jai Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, Jai
Jai.
Vaishnavrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur
Jai.
Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari 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 Bol.
Vishnupada Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai
Jai.
Maharaj, Maharaj, all devotees ki Jai.
Jai.
And so then Shanta Maharaj, can you sing anything?
Generally we sing Maharaj. That sequence do you want to follow or what?
Anyone want to sing Yasamati
Any
Dhamma?
sequence?
As a nice sequence.
Let me
I
check
only
Maharaj.
chosen by random, not for any reason.
Okay, Maharaj. If you
What is
want,
that?
Maharaj, I can sing one song.
Okay,
Tirupe Paibo Seva.
okay.
I'm checking the page.
Tell her what page?
Page number, Maharaj.
What page number?
Let me check, Maharaj. Pocket book.
Huh?
He's saying that 62. Muni Maharaj is saying page 62 on Pocket Kit.
Okay.
61.
61.
60.
61, Maharaj.
Okay.
Tirupe Paibo Seva Muni Durachar.
Tirupe
Rupe Paiva Seva Muni Durachara.
Shri Guru Vaishnave Rati Na Hoilo Amar.
Shri Guru Vaishnave Rati Nahaila Amara.
অশেষ মায়াতে মন মগন হইল
Asesha Maya Se Mana Magana Haila.
বৈষ্ণবে তেলে মাত্র রতি ন জন্মিল
Vaishnave Tele Samatra Rati Najanmila.
বিষয়ে ভুলিয়া অন্ধ হইনু দিবানিসি
Mishaye Buriya Anta Hainu Divanishi.
গলে ফাঁস দিতে গিরে মায়া সে পিচাসি
Kale Pasadi Feri Maya Se Pisachi.
মায়ারে করিয়া জয় ছাড়ানো না যায়
Mayare Kariya Jaya Chadhana Nayaya.
साधु कृपा बिना आर नहीं को उपाय।
साधु कृपा
Sadhu Kripa
बिनारा
Dinara
नहीं का
Nahi
उपाया।
Upaya.
अदो सदरसी प्रभु पतित उधार।
साधु
Sadhu
साधुषाधरसि
Prabhu
प्रभु
Patita
पतिता उधार।
এইবার নরতমে করো নিস্তার।
এই बार नारोथा
Hey
में
Baranaro
खरा
Tame
है
Kara
निष्ठारा।
Nistara.
কি রূপে পাইব সেবা মুনি দুরাচার।
कि रूपे पावा
Kirupe
सेवा
Paiva Siva
मुनि
Muni
दुराचारा।
শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণবেরতি না হইল আমার।
श्री गुरु वैष्णवे
Guru
रति न
Vaishnava
भाईला हमारा।
জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব।
जय गुरुदेवा जय
Gurudeva
गुरुदेवा
Gurudeva
गुरुदेवा
Jaya
जय
Gurudeva
गुरुदेवा।
জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব।
जय गुरुदेवा जय
Jaya
गुरुदेवा
Gurudeva
जय
Jaya
गुरुदेवा
Gurudeva
जय गुरुदेवा।
Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva.
Nartam Das Thakur.
जय
Muni Maharaj, do you have one bhajan you'd like to sing?
Which song, Maharaj? Every song is so nice. Just not able to think, Maharaj. Okay, shall we sing Thakur Vaishnav Padam, Maharaj? Next page.
Yes. Yes.
ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব পদ অবনীয় শুভ সম্পদ ঠাকুর
Akura Vaishnava Pada Avaniya Sampada.
শুনো ভাই হইয়া এক মন
শুনো
सुनाई भाई खाना एक
Suna
माना।
Yana Ekamana.
আশ্রয় লইয়া ভজে হরে কৃষ্ণ নাহি ত্যাগে আশ্রয়
आश्रय लाहिया भजे हरे कृष्ण नाही
Hare
जागे।
Krishna Nai Jai.
আর সব মরে অকারণ
আর সব
आरा सब मरे
Hare
अखराना।
Sama Mare Akarana.
বৈষ্ণব চরণ জল প্রেম ভক্তি দিতে বলো
বৈষ্ণব
वैष्णव चरण चला
Vaishnava
प्रेम
Charana
भक्ति
Jala
दीते बोलो।
Prema Bhakti Dite Bala.
আর কেহ নহে বলবন্ত
আর কেহ নহে বল
Hara Keho Nai Balabanta.
भ्रांत
বৈষ্ণব চরণ রেণু মস্তকে ভূষণ বিনু
Vaishnavacharanarenu Sakti Bhusana Vinu
Vaishnavacharana Masake Bhusana Vinu
আর নাহি ভূষণেরও অন্ত
আর নাহি ভূষণের
Mera Anta
তীর্থ জল পবিত্র গুণে লিখিয়াছে পুরাণে
Tirtha Jala Pavitra Gune Likhiyache Purane
সেসব ভক্তির প্রবঞ্চন
Sripad Bhakti Ravanchana
বৈষ্ণবের পাদোদক সম নহে এই সব
Vaishnavera Padaka Likhiyache Purane
যাতে হয় বাঞ্ছিত পুরাণ
যাতে
Shihai Vanchita Purana
বৈষ্ণব সঙ্গীতে মন আনন্দিত অনুক্ষণ
Vaishnava
বৈষ্ণব
Anandita
Anandita
Anushana
Anushana
সদা হয় কৃষ্ণ পরসঙ্গ
সদা হয় কৃষ্ণ
Sadaya Krishna Parasanga
দীন নরোত্তম কান্দে হিয়া ধৈর্য নাহি বাঁধে
Kama Kande Yathaya Nahi Bhande
Yadarya Nahi Bande
মোর দশা কেন হইল ভঙ্গ
মরদশা
Moradasa Bhanda
জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর
Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur
Jaya Vaishnav
দয়াল বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর দয়াল বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর দয়াল বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর
Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur
Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mukund Prabhu, you got that file? Video? Or
Yes,
Kirtan?
yes, Prabhuji. I got that.
Okay.
Oh, what does he have? Kirtan? Kirtan book?
Pocket Kirtan book. Yes.
And Arcana Ph.D., would you like to choose one?
Yeah.
Which one?
Nitai Padakamala.
Okay.
Nitai Padakamala.
Page?
Page 55, sorry. 2 pages after that one. Nitai Padamala Koti Chandra Shushitala
Nitai Padakamala
Nitai Padakamala
Chandra Sushitala
Chandra Susitala
Jaya Jagata Jutaya
ये
ये
चया
छाया जगत है जुदा
Judaraja.
Enanitai vine vai Radha Krishna paite nai.
ये
Nitai
Ena
Vineva,
nitai vineva
Radha
Radha
Krishna
Radha
paite
Krishna
nai.
Paite
paitenai.
Vrtaha kari dara nitaye rupai.
Devari
Vidakari
Dara
Dara
Nitaye Rabai.
Jai sambandha nahi jara Vrta janma ke lotara.
ये
Jai
संबंध
Sambandana Hijara
Sambandhana
Vrita
Ijara
Janma Kilatara.
Rajamagilatara.
Jai pasubhadra durachara.
Sei
Pasu
Bada
Badurachara.
Durachara.
Nitai na bailila mukhi, majila samsara sukhi.
निताय
Nitya Bhavita Mukhe,
Taina Valila
Mojila
Mukhe,
Samsara
Majila Samsara Sukhe.
Vidyakule hiki kari vitara.
विद्या
Vidya Kule
Kikari
Kikari
Letara.
Ahankari mata haina, nitai pada parashriya.
अहंकार
Ahankara Matahaina Taipada Pasariya
Vashatraye satyakari mani.
असत्य
Asatyare Satyabhimani
Nitya karuna have, vrajirata Krishna paive.
निताई
Nitya Karuna
Raje
Have
Radha
Raja
Krishna
Radha
Pave,
Krishna Pave
Sarha nitaye charandu kani.
Haranitaye
Dharanitaye
Charanadukani.
Charandukani
Nitya charana satya, tanhara sekara nitya.
Nitai Purna
Nitya Charana
Ahara
Satya
Se
Ahara
Vakanitya,
Sevaka Nitya
Nitai pada sadakara asa.
निताई
Nitai
Nitara
Pada
Sadakara
Sadakara
Asa.
Narotom patatuki, nitai mora parashuki.
नरोत्तम
Narottama
Nitai
Bharatuki.
Madhava
Nitai
Sukhi
More
Nitai More
Karasuki.
Kara Sukhi
Rakaranga charane rupasa.
Rako
Rakaranga
Naraka
Charane
Charanera
Rasa.
Pasa
Toyo nitai, toyo nitai, toyo nitai, toyo nitai.
Dayanitai
Dayanitai, Dayanitai,
Dayanitai
Jai Krishna.
Dayanitai.
Haribo.
And see our Uma Devi. What would you like to say?
Maybe my connection is not good. I can try.
You can try, yes.
Yes, yes. Page number 48. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jiva Daya Kari.
Okay.
48. Oh.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jiva Daya Kori. Swaprasada Swiyadama Sahavatari.
Sri Krishna
Shri
Chaitanya
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Jiva
Jivataya Gauri Saparshada
Saparshada Siya
Jagadvara
अत्यंत दुर्लभ प्रेम करी बरेदाना शिकाये शरणागती भक्तेरा प्राणा
Atyanta
दुर्लभा
Durlabha
Atyanta Durlabha
प्रेम
Prema Kari
Sikaya
Baridana
Sharanagati
Sikaya
Bhaktirana
Sharanagati
दैन्य आत्मा निवेदना गोप्तवराणा अवश्य रक्षिबे कृष्ण विश्वास पलाना
Danya Atmani Vedana
Danyatmani
Gopvire
Vedana Goptavarana
Avasyalaki
Avasya Rakshibe Krishna
Krishna
Vishwasapalana
Vispalana
भक्ति अनुकूल मात्र करेयर स्वीकारा भक्ति प्रतिकूल भाव वर्जन अंगीकारा
भक्तिरनुकूला मात्र
Bhakti Anukula
Hare
Matra Karera Svikara Bhakti
Pratikula Bhava
Pratikula Bhava
Vajanadikara
Vajanadikara
सद्गंग शरणागति हाई बेजहारा यतहारा प्रार्थना सुने श्री नंद कुमारा
Sadhganga Sharanagati Hai
Sadhganga Saragati
Bejahara
Hai
Mahara
Bejahara
Varna
Yatara Pratana Sune Trinanda
Kumar
Kumara
रूप सनातन पदे दंते तृणकारी भक्ति विनोद पदे दुहिपदारी
Rupa
Upasana
Sanatana
Pade
Nante
Dante
Trinodakari
Trinodakari Bhakti Vinod Pade
Bhakti
Duipadari
Vipadari
कांडिया कांडिया बले हमी तो हदामा शिकाये शरणागति करे हे उत्तमा
Kandiya Kandiya Pade Amita
Kadiya Kadiya Bole
Sire
Amita
Charanagari Kare
Sikaye Sharanagati Karahe
कांडिया
Utama
बले हमी तो हदामा शिकाये शरणागति करे हे उत्तमा
Kandiya Kandiya
Kadiya
Pade
Kadiya Bole
Amita
Amito Dama
Kama
Sikaye Sharanagati
Sharanagati
Karahe
Kare
Utama
Utama
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु जीवदया गौरी प्रसादा श्रियदमा सहवतारी
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
Krishna Chaitanya
Sri
Prabhu
Krishna Chaitanya
Jivedaya
Prabhu
Gauri
Jivedaya Kari
Saparshada
Satparshada
Sriyadama Hari.
Jagadvaradhari.
जय गुरुदेव
Thank you. And Teres, would you like to read the English?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Being merciful to the souls, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descends with his associates and abode. To distribute the most rare form of divine love, he teaches surrender, which is the life of the devotees. Humility, self-submission, embracing the Lord's guardianship, maintaining the faith, that Krishna will certainly protect me. Engaging only in activities that are favorable to devotion, rejecting everything unfavorable to devotion. Sri Krishna hears the prayers of one who surrenders in this sixfold way. Bhakti Vinod places a straw between his teeth and falls before Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu and Srila Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, clasping their feet. Crying and crying, he prays, I am so lowly. Please elevate me by teaching me surrender.
Very nice. And how you read from Papanativanamrita. Want to say anything? Next time. I forgot you. Forgot you were there. Oh,
Page 26, no? What we were there?
I think
30.
that.
Page
30?
30, but the verse, I'm not sure. The verse.
Verse 26.
Page 30? 26 or 27?
20, I think 28, no? 31.
I think it was 27th? I think
we
we're on.
finished, no, man?
I don't think so. Does
Okay.
anyone remember for sure? No, it's
Not
okay.
sure about the.
Okay, we can start with 27. Muni Maharaj, can you read?
Muni Maharaj?
Muni Maharaj?
He's coming, Maharaj.
He's coming.
According to the
I see
Javanam,
him. He's there. Isn't that? That's some picture.
Javanam,
Some movie. Maybe
hi.
he's showing some movie on the screen.
No, I mean,
Page?
I don't have that book open. Let me see if where I.
I will send you the link. Wait a minute.
Oh, you don't have the book?
From SCS Mud International.
Page is 30.
You see the chat.
30.
I sent you the
Page 30.
PDF file.
And it's on, and the text is number 27 on page 30.
It's downloading, Maharaj. Just a minute. It will take 1 more minute. It's asking so many computer things, Maharaj.
Oh.
Well, let me, I'll come back after this one, Maharaj.
Huh?
Because it is asking so many, the website is asking so many details. So I have to.
I've sent you the link. It's asking for some details.
Yeah.
You don't have the PDF?
No, Maharaj.
Oh.
Shall I share on the screen, Maharaj?
Huh? Yeah. Why not? You can do that.
Okay. Is it coming on your screen, Muni Maharaj?
Not yet. I think just coming. Yeah, it came. 27th one, no?
Text number 27.
Devarshi bhutapta nrinam.
You have to read the first line. Sri Krishnaika.
Oh, okay. Sri Krishnaika Sharana Naiva Vividha Kinkaraha Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam Pitrinam Nakinkaro Nath Muni Na Na Naya Muni Charajan Sarvatmana Yasaranam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parivarpakartam. Those souls who have exclusively surrendered to Krishna are not obedient to scriptural injunctions and prohibition. O king, one who abandons all worldly obligations and wholeheartedly surrenders to Mukunda, the exclusive shelter of all beings in every respect, such a person is no longer indebted to demigods, sages, other life forms, friends, and relatives, mankind, and ancestors.
Oh,
Muni Maharaj, I sent a link in the chat that doesn't require download. It just opens it up in your window.
Okay.
now we lost Uma and Mukunda.
Spotty connection.
So what does it mean? How do you have anything to say about that? What does it mean? You don't have to follow the scriptures. Why would it say that?
Maharaj,
Huh?
in Chaitanya Bhagavat, there are many descriptions that, for example, every moment what Mahaprabhu is doing, how the scripture can come to know of that. So, uh, those who have developed dedication and are living the life of pure devotion, for them, the scriptural injunctions are sometimes may become an obstacle because they are already serving their gurus and their and sometimes scriptures cannot capture what is going on in the transcendental realm. So in that sense they cross over because they're still following their gurus and Vaishnavas, but that portion is not covered in the scriptures.
What do you say, Santa Maharaj?
Maharaj, I think I feel life is something to do with spontaneity. So when it is comes under some kind of like a manual, then it is some restriction is there. So when a jiva attains highest destination by awakening its real constitutional position of a spontaneous relationship with absolute, then that restriction should not be there of the scripture. It has to do with the heart to heart relationship. So that is already awakened. So that is scriptures can only help us to proceed towards that, but it cannot completely dictate the living entity. I mean, that's my humble feeling, Maharaj.
Anyone else? Raj, you know? You mentioned this one time too.
Well, yes, actually, but they say that the Vedas cannot reveal Krishna, only give an indication where to go. So actually, the scripture to some point is just only regulation for people. They are attached to the material world. But once the person is not attached to the material world, the scripture doesn't help too much. So they have to go beyond the scriptures. They have to follow actually what Guru and the Vaishnava said. So that's why I say that all the scripture is more regulation to people to do some improvement in their life. But there will be a point that they will not help anymore. So those injunctions have to be like left behind and go ahead and go in a different level.
I think there is one more point. Active and passive.
Huh?
Active and passive. So
What did you say?
Active and passive?
Active and passive.
Oh, active and passive. Okay.
scriptures are more like passive. When there is no immediately Vaishnava available, or when instructions are not immediately available, then scriptures can give us some direction. But when there are great devotees are present, then it is actively, telling us what to do, what not to do. And when that is according to the attachment, what kind of attachment has developed. So those things cannot be always mentioned explicitly, and they are not mentioned also in scriptures explicitly.
Can you give any examples?
Like usually it says one should not eat meat, fish, eggs. One should not, take some intoxicants and like this. But we find, for example, in Garuda, he eats fish. So if somebody says he's making an offense or going against scriptures, then they don't understand the position of Garuda there. So they will make an offense if they say scriptures say like this and he's doing like that. So they can't understand. And many times Lord makes a out of love for some devotee, he makes some adjustment, some concession for some devotee out of love only. But those things cannot be mentioned in scriptures. So there are many stories in India like that, especially in Bengal. So if those instructions were given in scriptures, it will create a disturbance in public, life, because they can't understand the dealings of that, realm. So they cannot be imitated. They cannot be, even many times it is mentioned, like Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to say, all these things are mentioned in scriptures, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita or something. Some of these things are just mentioned, and that itself is creating so much disturbance, because unqualified people, when they take it up, then they completely, misunderstand. And Bhagavatam says, Muyanti yat suraya. Even the great sages and personalities will become bewildered. Even Lord Shiva becomes bewildered, what to say, by the activities of great personalities. And even it is said, once Balram become bewildered, what to say of other personalities. So that amazement, that wonder that is going on, it cannot be always captured in the scriptures, because scriptures are given to open the eye of the persons who don't have connection to that realm, but who are just trying to begin that journey. So in general, in human society, everywhere scriptures are given. Even one scripture speaks against another scripture sometimes, contradictory. So these things cannot be uh, declared in public as a truth for everyone. So certain things are confidential like that, and certain things cannot be um, told in every situation. Or certain situation demands certain particular type of instructions. Certain things are hidden; they cannot be openly mentioned. So how that can be a scriptural thing?
I have a question actually. Um, I feel that much of the talk about scripture is one directional about how we are reading the scripture and following or not following. But we consider such books like Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita as scripture, which is a result of the ecstatic love of a great devotee. So also, this might be unrelated to what we were just talking about, but the scriptures are also a result of ecstatic love and spontaneous love of very great devotees. So I don't know. I never thought about it like that, but I just thought about it now listening to Muni Maharaj. That even Bhagavatam, I know, wasn't originally accepted as a Vedic scripture, but then Jiva Goswami worked very much to propagate Mahaprabhu's conception of Bhagavatam as an authentic, authoritative, the most authoritative Vedic scripture. And also we're accepting Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is just like nectar, and it's not maybe giving so many rules and regulations, but is just talking about the experiences and the circumstances of Mahaprabhu and all of his followers. So there's also perhaps a non-injunctional way to approach scriptures too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not just looking at them in terms of rules and regulations to follow, but also as a spontaneous expression of devotion. Like the bumblebee who's dropping the bits of nectar because it has so much nectar on it. And sometimes just reading the scripture is also just soaking up that nectar. Not that we want to be enjoyers, but still, it has that effect to some extent.
Maharaj, I think it is Srila Saraswati Thakur who told that if all the scriptures hide themselves and Chaitanya Charitamrita remain, then everything is there. And that Srila Sridhar Maharaj told, even if Chaitanya Charitamrita hides itself, and that discussion between Rai Ramananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, and everything is there.
Huh? Anyone else? Kanapriya, you have any thoughts on this?
I think just from my feeling that the scriptures are there as I guess like a structure, but I think ultimately we have to develop that hankering and that dedication for Krishna to reveal to you the real realizations, and I think it's that linking in that current that then, like you were saying, takes you to a different plane of existence. Yeah, just not much really from what everyone else is saying.
Muma Devi, do you have anything to say about this?
Sorry, Maharaj, I didn't understand the question. You know,
A question we're talking about in this verse, it says you're not subservient to the scriptures. Krishna, who surrendered to Krishna, they're not subservient to following the scriptures. What they say and they don't, and what they say to do and say not to do. One who surrendered to Krishna doesn't have to follow that. They're above that. What does that mean? Why would they say that?
oh, any Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, anything. If you read somebody, you know, their qualification, they can understand different way. But if you surrender Vaishnava or Guru, then you listen from Guru, Vaishnava, or then you will understand properly. Or getting from Guru,
I can't hear you. Some problem with the connection?
yes, connection. Sorry, Maharaj.
Can anyone hear?
Not so well.
I can hear Maharaj. He said that, you know, if everyone reads scripture, then they understand differently. But if they surrender to a Vaishnava, then they can understand scripture. That's
Okay. Very nice.
It's this almost saying the same thing as Sarvamam.
Sarvadharmam?
Sarvadharmam Parityāga Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Mamekam Sharanam
I can't hear anything. Sound is not.
It's kind of the same message there. Just surrender unto Krishna and he will take care of everything else. Instead of trying to be so calculative in our efforts, which is more of if any more like calculative, measured, structured. But that verse in Bhagavad Gita is just saying surrender to Krishna and fully. He'll take care of everything. He'll protect you from this or that, and everything he will take care of if you are fully surrendered. So this is almost having the same message.
Mahaprabhu has mentioned that there are two Bhagavatas. One is the book, other is the Bhakta. And one must read the book from the devotee, Bhakta. So, I think that another level, there is a Prakrita, there is above the Adhokshaja. And the scriptures are at the level of Adhokshaja. So when they have this transcendental life, spontaneous life, then everything is not in the scriptures at that level.
Maharaj, can I say something else too?
Yeah.
Srila Guru Maharaj was telling that at the time Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was trying to give some mercy to people that came from England. He plans to put them in a hotel and ask some food that normally the Vaishnava don't use, like meat. And Srila Guru Maharaj said that it was not favorable to that idea, because he said that what the other organization of Vaishnava will tell if we feed meat to these people that came from England, people start to talk bad about us. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that he took that decision millions of lifetimes before, and they say that the only concern is that to keep the internal purity, not the external. So Srila Guru Maharaj understood that also for the benefit of the preaching, sometimes the external purity cannot be followed, but the internal. So those things have to be understood, that it's not in the scriptures, is knowing the injunction, but still, for some reason, some person they are elevating Krishna consciousness can't do it, and they will be not in fault or anything wrong with them. So I think that part of this is the scriptures only give us some regulation, but for the order of the Guru and Krishna, maybe the devotee have to go over those regulations, and still there is nothing wrong with them.
One more point is there, Maharaj. I can feel. There's a difference between Vrindavan and Vaikuntha. That is the law-based, what we say, devotion, and the spontaneous devotion. They are different. So, for example, in Vrindavan, they are always breaking the laws of society, for example. That is giving much higher ecstasy to the Lord and to the servitors. So, for example, the laws of family, society, family relations, they are breaking all of that to serve Krishna. So it is a pure life, but it is breaking all other, what is considerations. Because if the Lord is absolute, then everything is relative in relation to Him. So even the scriptures are relative. The laws, definitions, everything is relative to Him. So that type of highest type of devotion cannot be shackled down or put into some cage of some set rules and regulations. So, so Vrindavan definitely is revealing that type of sometimes I feel the main symptom of devotees of Vrindavan is that everybody is in ecstasy. All devotees are ecstatic, and if you go to tell them that this is not correct, that is you should do like this, then they will feel offended because their ecstasy is getting checked in that the kind of service they are doing and the kind of, like for example, one devotee was there and King Pratap Rudra, when there was Sankirtan going on, and one devotee was in front of them dancing, and then because of that, there was a minister of King Pratap Rudra, and he could not see what is happening, how like the Panchatattvas are dancing, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, how they are dancing. He could not see that. So he was telling to that devotee, just move to side, I want to see. Then what happened? That devotee was in great ecstasy, and he felt some disturbance when the minister did like this, and he just slapped him. And when he slapped him like that, the minister felt much offended. But Pratapudra Maharaj said, "Don't say anything, just keep quiet," to his minister. So because of the king, the minister had to remain, silent. He could not express anything. And then later the king explained to him, actually that devotee is a great personality, and that he has slapped you is your great fortune. And don't try to, chastise him or give some instructions to that devotee that he did something wrong by slapping you, for example. So when that ecstatic stages of devotees are natural or spontaneous in that realm, then if we apply some laws on that, certainly we will make mistakes.
Right. I was also just remembering, because exclusive surrender to Krishna means not acting on self-interest, only acting in service interest, which is why Govinda Das crossed over Mahaprabhu when he was sleeping in the door, because he didn't follow the rules. He just crossed over him so he could prepare the prashadam for when he awoke. But because he was exclusively surrendered only to service, then when it was all finished, he didn't cross back over Mahaprabhu because that would be for self-interest. So then he himself could go take prasad.
Yeah, always Acharya Maharaj gives that in example, what you were given just now. And he says, for the service of Gurudev, service of devotees, I can do so many offenses. It's possible. For the sake of service, it's possible. So,
Gopis are giving the food dust. Gopis are giving the food dust, Maharaj.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many examples, huh? In the scriptures, there are so many examples of how one has to violate the scriptures in order to serve the Lord.
Saugari is also.
Huh? What's this?
Saugari is giving the remnant to Lord Ram.
So the what do you say? The spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. You know the difference? You heard of this? The spirit of the law and the letter of the law.
Yes.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
Huh? The law has some purpose. Law has some purpose. Everybody, just like an example is given. I think Prabhupada gave the example. Many have given the example of the king is in his chamber, and the servant is not supposed to enter when the king is there. But when the king is being attacked by some rascal, and the servant wants to stop that from happening, then he goes in the chamber, even when the king is there, to stop that attack on the king. And then he's crossing the law in order to save the king. That's allowed. Or when Arjuna was killing his relatives, had to kill his relatives. That's against the scripture, dharma. But Krishna told them this has to be done. Otherwise, another event will happen. Unhappy events will come. So again, he had to do that. So like that, there are many such examples given. The gopis especially. They have so many injunctions of the scriptures that they don't follow in order to serve Krishna and according to his wishes. Serve to please him. When the Krishna and Balaram were walking, and they came upon the Brahmins chanting their mantras, and we can't. They said they were hungry, and the Brahmins said, "No, we're chanting our mantras. We can't stop now. You can't interfere with us. We have our mantras to finish. Have the yajna to perform. Don't bother us now. After we're finished, maybe we'll take care of you." Then the boys were very unhappy, and the wives of the Brahmins said, "Oh, come here. We'll fix some prasadam for you." So in that case, also, if we follow so much strict rules and regulations, and not see Krishna come before us, then what would you do?
Maharaj?
Yes?
I have seen in my life, somehow, those who have given so much of importance to rules and regulations, somehow they become offensive towards devotees. I don't know why this happens. I have seen many examples in my life, and they followed so much rules and regulation, but somehow they could not respect devotees actually.
All right. Vidhi Marg and Raga Marg, you know this difference? Vidhi Marg, those who are following the rules, and Raga Marg, those who are spontaneously engaged in service. Those who are Vidhi Marg devotees, they will see the Raga Marg devotees as degraded persons. They will think they are less than human, even. And those who are Raga Marg devotees see the Vidhi Marg devotees as residents of hell. they're only going according to some rules and regulations. And the Ragamar devotees will say like that is not very Krishna conscious. I said, no, according to their perspective, they will judge differently.
I remember a person, Maharaj, who used to come to Siliguri temple, and he used to follow strictly certain vegetables that has to be taken and certain should not be taken. Actually, Govinda Maharaj allowed some vegetables, if that comes from the collection, that should be offered to Lord, like carrot and other things, and he used to do so much criticism of devotees,
I said,
continuously. And he claims to be follower of so many rules. So I was, I witnessed so many such things. Example, they follow certain rules. On that basis, on that strength, they criticize devotees.
that's actually Sridhar mentions that as one of the in his prayer to Saraswati Thakur. He mentions that he had relaxed the Vini Marga, the Vaikuntha
Sitilito Vidhi.
devotees. Huh?
Sitilito Vidhi, Maharaj.
What is that called?
Sitilito Vidhi. That means
Sitilita Vidhi.
yes, he made the heat of the Vidhi Margo cooler.
I see. So this is Saraswati Thakur's conception also. That the Vini Marga is not the highest thing. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna Kesava pointed out, Sharanagati is beyond Dharma. The Dharmic principles found in the scriptures. Krishna says, don't follow things simply out of duty. You are doing things out of duty. That is not the highest plane of affection for him. That affection, once it comes, then duty is put to the side. Mother may serve the children out of duty, but that's not the highest affection mother show to the children. Children, not out of duty, but out of affection. She's ready to do anything. Not as a matter of duty, but as a matter of affection. Like that. So like that, Krishna wants our affection, our love, not our dutiful obedience. Higher stage. And also Krishna says in the Gita, Vedaishta Sarvam Aham Eva Veda. And says, all the Vedas are telling that you should know me. Don't look at the Vedas as in themselves the ultimate thing. That what the Vedas are explaining is me. And if you haven't come to that realization, then what is the use of your Vedic knowledge? I am what is that? Vedaishta Sarvam Aham Eva Veda. Vedanta Krid Veda Vedeva Chaham. I wrote the Vedas. I know the Vedas. And I am what is to be known by all the Vedas. So if you study the Vedas and don't come to the Krishna conception, that's also possible. Right? There are many people who are like that. They have very, very good Vedic scholars, but they haven't really reached the Prayojan Tattva. Higher, the purpose. Krishna reveals that to the devotee. What is that? What is he himself? So that the devotee who has come to that stage, the highest stage, can see Krishna's pastimes going on all the time. There's no question of Veda or this or that. Sometimes it comes in the form of Veda or following Veda, and sometimes not.
Harsh?
Yeah.
It also could be read as the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, because like Vedic injunction would not have room for pacifying the offenses of Jagai and Madai, but Nityananda Prabhu's mercy as being completely surrendered to Krishna is getting rid of all, don't give them the letter of the law, give them the mercy. And like a nice example of that happening with the devotees was a video I saw of Govinda Maharaj, and he was with a bunch of Western devotees, and I think a lot of them were new, and he was trying to relate to them, and he said, "I have brought some chocolate for you," and he distributed pieces of chocolate to everyone. But normally, I think devotees don't really take chocolate, but out of Nityananda's mercy, he just started giving chocolate out and having harikas out.
Maharaj, today we were reading some discussion that Hansa Avatar, one of the incarnation of Lord, as the swan, he instructing the Chatuskumar. They inquired about the subject of transcendental world to Brahma, and somehow Brahma could not able to answer that question, and he taken the shelter of Lord, and Lord appeared as Hamsa, and then he described in detail about how to meditate, or direct mind, body, senses, everything on meditating towards him. And at the end, somehow he told, even though you can do all this yoga and this logical things and everything, philosophical and understanding of things, but ultimately it is me who will award the result of that. So you should never forget that while practicing all these things.
All right. The means and the end, huh?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
means are not the end, only the means, the process to get there. But what is it that you're trying to get to? What is that result? That is the thing. If you miss the end just to get involved in the process, then it's not very good also, huh? Of course, in the absolute, means and end are the same, but anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, Maharaj, Gyanis and Yogis, they think that they do some practice and they will get it. That type of concept develops in them. So he was giving some warning in that direction, seems to me.
No room for mercy. They don't make any room for mercy, for grace. Okay. Anyone have any other question on that? Another comment?
There is also one statement that mercy is above justice. So it seems that there are two kinds of devotees. One devotee is in the domain of mercy, another type of devotee is in the domain of justice. But among these two, those who are in the domain of mercy are higher.
Mercy is above justice.
Yes. There is no question of equality in Vrindavan because everything is so spontaneous. But in the domain of mercy, the devotee takes a lower position, and that makes him qualified to get the mercy, and that is uncomparable. Like in Vrindavan, devotees are always saying, I have no devotion, I have no qualification, this type of negativity.
Another thing I'm thinking, and you can tell me if it's correct or not, but the Vedas are given in the material world. Huh? The Vedas aren't given in the spiritual world, are they? Vedas are given in the material world to Lord Brahma. And they are told to the living entities in this world. No? Then are the Vedas given in Vaikuntha or Vrindavan?
No.
Actually,
I think they're in the Yodhya, because I remember reading the epilogue of Ramayana, the abridged version, and then at the end of Lord Rama's pastimes, when he was walking in the forest about to disappear, he was walking with the personified Vedas. I remember they specifically said that.
Uh-huh.
So
There
he's
is
not in the
also one
material
more
world,
thing.
but the Vedas were there.
This Paramatma conception,
What's that?
like in the Paramatma conception, that Paramatma is only in the material world. But
Yes.
actually, Srila Jiva Goswami has mentioned about that thing, that even though its movement is Jagatgata, means movement is in the material world, Paramatma, but actually he's Akuntha, Vaikuntha Tattva. He's not a material Tattva.
Uh,
So scriptures also, though they come to help in this world, but they don't belong to this world, or like they are not Tattva of this world.
true, but they don't manifest. They're not manifest to anyone other than Brahma, no? And therefore, in Vaikuntha, where is the manifestation of Veda? Or
Maharaj,
Vrindavan? Yes?
generally it is being told that whatever exists in material world, it has a corresponding existence in the spiritual world.
So what is that?
So I was thinking also that in the material world, generally the Vedas and the scriptures are revealed to help the living entities to cross over this material world.
Uh,
And in the spiritual world, maybe it is helping them to increase their ecstasy or dedication. Like Radharani is saying, Tava Katha, that Krishna, I think, Krishna or Radharani, I forget. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviritam, that Kalmasapaham, that sloka, that the talks of Krishna, that goes on among devotees,
uh,
that increases their attachment towards Krishna, and in that process they get Krishna. They eliminate the feeling of separation, something to do.
but yes, that's also true. Then it depends on how you see Veda as either Gyan, and then in the spiritual world, like Gyan Mr. Bhakti, or as you see Krishna Katha, then a different thing. Huh?
One thing is that when we see the Gayatri, then Bhagavatam is Gayatri Bhashya, means explanation of the Gayatri.
Uh,
Whereas the three Vedas, this is also coming from Gayatri,
uh,
but that is contaminated by the three modes of material nature, the Vedas. So definitely this does not apply to the spiritual world.
uh,
But the Gayatri in that higher form is Bhagavatam, and that is what is spiritual world, Vrindavan. So seems like Vedas are the lower conception of the uh,
and
of the
also,
concepts.
Kumar told Gayatri will only take you as high as Vaikuntha. And one called
It takes up to liberation, Maharaj, then retires.
liberation, yes. But not to Vrindavan, it doesn't enter there. That's the holy name, has that access there. But Gayatri doesn't bring you to that higher level.
Yeah.
Well, these things are there. I have to consider carefully what that means, uh, and how Veda relates to this world. Like you said, mentioned, there's also, well, I don't know about Veda, but the Puranas are all different, given according to the modes, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Rajatama Puranas.
Yes. Yes. That's
And the
also
sacrifices and things like that that are mentioned in the Veda. That Narada Muni was practicing sacrifices to the gods in Vrindavan, Mathura. So hard to say about all these things.
like even different devotees.
Uh,
They refer to different type of scriptures again. So we have to be very careful, especially the Gaudiya devotees. They follow Bhagavatam,
uh,
but somebody may be doing something else, and it may look like same thing, but actually it is not,
uh,
because and that cannot be understood so quickly. It
Right.
needs some insight into those, dimensions, how things are working there.
Uh,
So it's not for the the new or the neophyte people to discuss those things. That's why generally the acharya is telling, just follow what is being given. Don't go here and there.
Maybe in spiritual world, Veda are taking their personal form.
I don't know. I mean, Veda are there, like I said, in Nanda Maharaj is following certain uh, 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 advisements of the Vedas. It
And
depends on the mentality of the person.
yes,
And
Maharaj.
those who are loving Krishna and following the Vedas, the Vedic injunctions, in that mood, and those who have no love for Krishna and are having some material desires and following the Vedas, is also possible. Huh?
Yes, Paravidya and Aparavidya.
Karmakanda, Karmakanda, Jnana, there's a desire for liberation, following the Vedas for that purpose. And what did you say, Maharaj?
Maharaj, Vedas are mixed with two kinds of knowledge, Paravidya and Aparavidya. Means
Yes,
mundane knowledge and transcendental knowledge.
yeah.
And it is very difficult to distinguish which is transcendental and which is mundane. That's why
Oh,
Vyasdev was very much concerned
oh,
after compiling Vedas. Then
yeah.
he gradually tried to develop all these other scriptures. And then finally he has to come to Srimad Bhagavatam
Mhm.
to make it explicit.
A lot of
Like
angles, huh? That's kind of clear. You wanted to say something? No.
No,
I was saying, Maharaj.
Who
Like for
was that?
example,
Oh, okay.
the non-Indic religions,
The what?
the Abrahamic religions, they are just too much. When they see India,
Abrahamic religion.
Uh,
when they see India, they can't understand that what these deities are.
uh,
But in India, even ordinary people understand. It is the invocation of the deity into the what we call that lowering of the deity or the descent of the deity in that form, the material energy form. But that is already transformed there. It is not matter anymore. So this Archa Vigraha, Archa Seva, even that is difficult for them to understand, to distinguish from idolatry. But Bible very clearly mentions the definition of idol. That idol is the product of the mind of the people. But the deity is not the product of the mind of anybody. It is a descent into the heart of the lover of God. So the definitions are totally different.
uh, and the favor that Krishna shows to his devotees that are still in the sensuous world. Krishna appears to them as the deity, out of love for them,
Yes, Maharaj.
who have not reached any other level of realization. They have to come in that form. And they can also serve so many ways. So it is actually out of love for his devotees and that level. Well,
Yes, Maharaj.
Why does someone like Gadadhar Pandit, who is very elevated, become, doing deity worship for the rest of his life? If it's more for lower level devotees.
that depends on the devotee also. The devotee may see the deity in a different way. Gadadhar Pandit, obviously. to ease his separation. He saw the deity not as a material thing, but as Krishna himself.
The deity was given by Mahaprabhu himself.
Yes. And he entered that deity. So that was not an ordinary deity for Gadadhar.
Yes, Gopinath Maharaj.
And had something to serve so that it was not so difficult, very difficult for Gadadhar for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to leave. So he gave him some semblance of service still ease his heart.
Gadadhar Pandit was having some special service to Mahaprabhu in Puri. Actually, as Sridhar Maharaj sloka, Sridhar Maharaj compiled one sloka that he is serving a special wine to Mahaprabhu in the form of Bhagavatam, when Mahaprabhu becoming like very weak out of separation. Then he getting energy by listening from Gadadhar Pandit. But Mahaprabhu somehow not took him to Vrindavan. I don't know why. Mahaprabhu not took him.
It seems that it was either Gadadhar Pandit or Swarup Damodar were the only ones who read Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu in a separation phase. Either Lalita or Radharani.
Maharaj, why Mahaprabhu not taken Maharaj Gadadhar Pandit to Vrindavan?
The mood, I think, maybe of Vipalamba. And Jagannath Puri. And there are many reasons, I think. Mahaprabhu's Leela Odarjo was different than Krishna's Leela. I don't think we find that kind of expression of love between Gadadhar and Mahaprabhu in the same way, same form in Vrindavan, huh?
No, different ones.
They're very different.
Yeah. The mood has been taken away. So what remains is
that mood was expressed in Jagannath Puri by Mahaprabhu. Oh, could not take it from there to Vrindavan. I don't know.
That past time, I always, think, like there must be some, like as you told, some reason that because Radharani's place is Vrindavan, but Gadadhar being, told not to come to that place.
Yeah, a very high topic. I couldn't explain that, huh?
I think, Maharaj, you have told, that that mood is not, so like, manifested that way in Vrindavan, the way Gadadhar and Mahaprabhu's, that mood.
Yes, I think, in the, I think the closest it comes to that Gadadhar Gauranga mood closest that comes to is outside of Vrindavan when Radharani went to Kurukshetra. There it might have been expressed, but that's outside of Vrindavan. And Jagannath Puri is called Kurukshetra Kshetra also.
Kurukshetra, yes, Maharaj.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe some deeper significance is there, but I'm not so sure of those things. I haven't heard the details of all of that from Guru Maharaj or anyone. All right.
Siddhant
Yes.
wrote one article.
Huh?
Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur wrote an article.
He wrote one article on that?
Yeah, he mentioned difference between Mahaprabhu and Krishna is that Mahaprabhu is a worshipper, whereas Krishna is worshipped. So when Krishna comes as Mahaprabhu, he's not taking the same mood like the enjoyer in past, but as a worshipper. So when his energy is coming in that way, energy also adjusts in the same way. So the energy also is not appearing in the same way, but assisting him in his worship. So because of that, Gadadhar Pandit is very subdued in this particular pastime. So it seems that when Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan, then his mood becomes completely, what to say, heightened.
And who went to Vrindavan? That was Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. And what did they write about? They weren't writing about Gaur Gadadhar.
Yeah.
They were writing about Krishna and Radha and the gopis.
Yes, Maharaj.
So their whole mood was in that way. So Gadadhar would not have gone there. Different, the same pastime, but in a different way, huh?
Yes, Maharaj.
Madhuraja and Gadadhar was more associated with the Odarja. But from an internal perspective, not external preaching, but internally, what Mahaprabhu wanted to experience was there in Jagannath Puri. I felt and expressed.
And if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then there is a Gadadhar Pandit's line is mentioned in that.
Okay.
For example, Dhruvananda is one of the main devotees in that line. But we don't find explicit explanations about those and what they were doing. But it is a very important, prominent, point in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, Krishna's Kaviraj hardly mentions that much detail.
Yes.
When Bhakti Vinod Thakur disappeared and his pastimes.
No. Bhakti Vinod is in his in Mayapur when he leaves this world.
He worshipped Gaur Gadadhar.
So, where is he?
He worshipped Gaur Gadadhar in Mayapur.
In Mayapur, yeah. He was in Mayapur.
Yes.
And Krishna Kesava was asking if he was in Puri. No, he was not there. He was in Mayapur.
That worshiping deity is in Mayapur. And also in Navadip, we have in one place where Jayadeva Goswami's place, Chapahati, there is Dijabani Nath, one there is Gaur Gadadhar deity is there.
Right.
Two Gaur Gadadhar. I'm not seeing anywhere else. Two places I seen. One is Bhakti Vinod Thakur and it's in Jayadeva Goswami's place.
Is there? I think there is one Gaur Gadadhar deity in Puri.
Puri, no.
No?
No.
Okay.
Chapahati it is there.
In Chapahati in Navadip.
Okay.
That is, what is the deep, Muni Maharaj? Do you remember? That is towards Janu Deep we go after Samudra God.
Chapahati is the last day.
Madhya Deep, right? That is? No, not.
No.
Antar, no. I have to find.
I don't remember.
Jagannath Setra, Puri Setra, Bhaktivinoda Thakur made the quote of his desire was to end his pastimes in Kurukshetra. So by worshiping Gorgadadhar, he did end his pastimes there because he was of Jagannath Kshetra, which shared the same thing. So externally,
The Gaur Gadadhar deities are two places in Mayapur, Maharaj. I think one deity, one is in Sivasangan, another is in Yogapit. Both the deities are considered, I think, of the worshipped by Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Okay. And the Kurukshetra pastimes are also found in Jagannath Puri during the Rath Yatra.
Yes, Maharaj.
Huh?
Actually, Jagannath Puri is Kurukshetra, Maharaj. That
Yes.
place where Jagannath temple is there, that is Kurukshetra, the place of separation. And Gundicha temple is Vrindavan.
All right. So these are all the great mysteries, transcendental secret teachings of the Vaishnava Siddhanta, all found in these things. Not for us so much to know about, at least me myself, but interesting. These little things that are told, scriptural about scriptures and so forth, they lead to deeper thinking. Yeah. So let's see. What time is it now? 3. Do we have time for one more verse? Huh? Do you all have time?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes,
Like
Maharaj.
to hear some more? Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Muni Maharaj, would you like to continue reading? Text 28.
Let's see. Where is the?
Want me to share?
Yeah. Please.
Tadanugrihita.
I also shared the link in the chat.
Yeah, I remember.
What is that?
You can see, Muni Maharaj?
Yes. 28, no? Tad anugrihita veda dharma tita eva yada yasva nirati bhagavanat bhavitah sajahati matiloke sajahati matiloke vede janishthita. The recipients of Lord's mercy are transcendental to Vedic religiosity. Because of the intense love of his surrendered soul, Supreme Lord bestows his grace upon that devotee by ushering in divine inspiration into his heart. Such a devotee then abandons the preoccupation with adhering to worldly obligations and Vedic religiosity.
So the devotees who have received the Lord's mercy are transcendental to Vedic religiosity. Vedas are given to the people in general, excuse me, to teach them how to follow the path of divinity, path of purification. In the Vedas, we find so many things, right? How you can become fertile, how you can become rich, how You can become famous, whatever.
Warrior.
Huh?
Warrior, Maharaj. Expert warrior.
Yes, whatever you want. The Veda has some formula uh, for getting your desires. Even the whole process of sacrifice. That what's his name? Hiranyakashipu. All these demons, they were practicing tapasya. Because it's told in the Vedas that tapasya will give you some access to the higher things, higher powers or higher fulfillment. So the demons take up the tapasya, the sacrifices, and become very powerful and can do many things, get many results. Even the demigods will come to serve them. Vedas are like that. And what use does that surrendered soul have for that? Huh?
Maharaj, this is comes like Purusartha, Maharaj, you can say.
Huh? What's that?
The Purusarthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama,
The
Moksha.
Purusharthas, yes. Yes. It's meant for that.
Yeah.
Religiosity, economic wealth, enjoyment, and liberation. But what use does a devotee have for those things? As soon as he understands that he can enter into the pastimes of the Lord, can play with Krishna, the cowherd boys and the gopis. What need is there for liberation and all those other things? Prabhupada always used to say, we don't want to become Krishna, we want to dance with him. Huh? Why to liberate, to become one with God. I want to dance. I want to dance with Krishna. The Vedas have all those side effects, side issues to deal with. And that is also only to get them to understand that there's something higher. People in general to understand there's something higher than just this material existence to strive for. Something higher. But because they don't understand the purpose of the Vedas, they get entangled in trying to fulfill so many promises that the Vedas offer. Because they don't understand the purpose. And Krishna says, Vedaischa sarvam aham eva Vedo. They don't know that. They don't know that it's to be known Krishna that the Vedas are given. To raise them to Krishna consciousness. They don't know that. They see these rules and regulations and how to do this and how to do that, how to become this and how to become that. And they become distracted by that, the flowery language of the Vedas. And they're chanting these mantras so properly and strictly and feeling they are Brahmins, very exalted beings. And those who don't do that, they're not less inferior. And they don't realize what all that is for.
In India, especially, Maharaj, there are so many scholars and so many Sanskrit, learned, professors. They only talk about 4 things: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That is the only thing they discuss and talk. Only, we find in Gaudiya devotees, Maharaj, something to do with fifth Purusartha, Pancham Purusartha, that is Krishna Prem.
Yes.
Mahaprabhu said that fifth Purusartha is forgotten.
Fifth note of Krishna's flute. I remember, I don't know if one of Prabhupada's sannyas disciples went to India. His name was Achyutananda. And he went preaching in South India. And he was preaching to them very strongly. He was a very good preacher, very intelligent. And he met the Sri Sampradaya devotees, huh? And they told him, look, you are coming from a lecture background, huh? Eating meat and all these things. And you can chant Hare Krishna purely? And how you can chant? Your mouth is full of all that meat from her birth. And he told them, he said, do you think that meat is more powerful than the mantra, Maha Mantra? That the meat will disqualify the Maha Mantra from my mouth? How is it possible? You hold meat higher than Maha Mantra, than Krishna's name? Ah, he told that to Sridhar Maharaj. He told us this also.
Actually, South India, there is so much caste feeling, Maharaj.
So the name can be chanted by anyone, and it destroys whatever is there, whatever anarthas are there. It can't be defeated by meat or anything else. Huh? Even the most degraded souls, or sinful activities, killing a cow or killing a Brahmin, even that can be overcome by the holy name. That is not to be diminished by any other mundane thing. That's Mahaprabhu's mercy in the Kali Yuga. But so many sinful activities are going on in the Kali Yuga. But this holy name is there, and if we take that name, that alone will resolve all difficulties, overcome all difficulties, even the coronavirus. Huh? Now you heard Trump has the virus, huh?
Yes, Maharaj. And he taken from this vaccine without it being tested, I heard.
I'm sorry.
He had been given a vaccine without being properly tested. In a hurry, he taken a vaccine.
Yes. Anyhow, so many things he has neglected, and now he has have to pay the price, as the Chinese told. He has to pay the price because he was not taking it seriously. Ah, let's see what happens. But anyhow, holy name is more powerful than all these things. And they're not, devotees are not concerned with all that. But still they take precaution. Don't be reckless. Don't be reckless. I don't walk out in front of a truck and say, Krishna will protect me.
Maharaj, this Vrindavan devotees somehow do that.
They do that.
Actually, there is a song written by Bhakti Thakur that Raksha karobe nishchoy jani, pahana karobe jamuna pani. I know that you will definitely protect me, and then that's why they're drinking the poisonous Jamuna water, and nothing is happening to them.
Yeah, true.
That's actually that Sarnagati song, Avasya Rakhive Krishna Vishwas Palan. There he mentioned.
Uh, well, I don't think devotee wants to test Krishna in that way, and or to give him some service. That you come and serve me, you come and save me. I'm not trying to give service to Krishna.
Yes.
He wants to serve. So it doesn't create a difficulty for the Supreme Lord. Here it is saying that And because of the love, intense love of the surrendered soul, Supreme Lord bestows His grace upon that devotee by ushering divine inspiration into his heart. So the inspiration doesn't come from the scripture, right? Coming from Krishna directly. Although the scriptures come from Krishna, there's another kind of inspiration that comes from within the heart, from Krishna directly. Huh? And who follows that? When one can come to that stage, then if the scripture becomes a kind of an external inspiration, and then there's an internal inspiration. So a devotee can make that discernment, that discrimination, which a person who is not having that mercy of the Lord, he has only the external shastra to follow. And he must follow it until he comes to that higher stage of the mercy of the Lord by the inner inspiration. And all these things must always be done of course, under the guidance of Guru, of Vaishnava. And we don't become offenders. And yeah, that's very important. Narottam Das Thakur is very expert in this understanding the importance of the Vaishnava, and how to follow.
A disciple of Jiva Goswami.
Narottam
Shiksha disciple.
is a Shiksha of Jiva Goswami. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. All three. Narottam, Srinivas and Shyamananda.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Maharaj, any news about Kusum Didi? How she is feeling, Maharaj?
Yes. I
I
haven't
tried
heard
to
from
call,
her
but
for 2
no
days.
reply.
Did you see her, Rasrajfu?
No, but she sent me a message yesterday, and she said the next week he had to go for some pinpoint injection, but it's the nerve that is causing the pain in the leg. Because he had an MRI and they showed that he has some damage in the nerve, so he had to have some injection to remove the pain. But besides that,
I haven't
he's
heard
still going
anything.
the treatment. And I didn't see her because I asked if she need anything. She told me, no, I am okay. So I go if she needs anything from me. Like, I don't want to bother her so much.
Okay. Yeah, she sent the Mahanet out, I think, this week on a first. Well, I'm assuming she was okay. Be able to do that. Usually, if she contacts me it's on Sunday, I may hear from her. Sunday, or I'll try to contact her. Okay, and I think we'll stop 3:30. Is that your best friend?
Rocky.
Oh, he's been listening.
He's been listening. I saw him.
Yeah,
Very
he's been
nice.
listening.
Very nice. He's very peaceful there, huh?
Yeah.
He knows you're talking about him.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what. to you all. Please be safe.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Puri Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Same
I
Samaveda.
hope everything goes good for you with the surgery Monday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
We wish you well. We're thinking of you.
thank you.
Dandavad.
Dandavad Maharaj, Dandavad to all devotees.
Dandavad.
Dandavad.